Good afternoon everyone, Kalla here. Welcome to our live stream, glad you could make it today. So today it's back to the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles, and we'll be starting on the 5th case of the first game in this collection. 5th and last of this one. Hello Nick, it's going fine really. How are you? Now let's get into it. The adventure of the unspeakable story. Ooh. The Hound of the Baskervilles!
It's coming! Sholmes's cry pierced through the thick wall of fog around us. Wisps of vapor flowed over the pistol as I cocked it, and I waited, breathlessly, in the stillness. The silence lasted for what seemed an eternity, until, at last, it appeared. From the shadows of the cloud, an enormous beast sprang out upon us.
Did we get a puppy this time around?
But not such a hound as any mortal has ever seen. Its eyes glowed with a smoldering glare. The whole of its ox-sized body was
Looks like a good dog to me.
white-hot flames. Its rumbling pant and hideous howl, so terrified was I that I began to tremble with fear. Look well, Wilson, Sholmes declared, gazing upon the mystical beast. For this is the diabolical Hound of the Baskervilles.
I don't know about diabolical, it looks like a good puppy to me. I'm glad you're feeling a bit better, Megan. I'm glad it's not COVID. Keep resting. Okay. Our first 2 months in London passed by in a flash. In that disconcerting courtroom experience we were first thrown into on the day we arrived in the country, and in Soseki-san's terrible ordeal that followed closely behind, we had emerged victorious. However, there then came an abrupt end to our opportunities to appear in court. That puppy reminds you of Rex. I mean, that's what I was thinking. It's a good dog. Which was hardly surprising, of course, since I was nothing more than an amateur, an unknown student of law from a faraway land. So life in our little office was very quiet. That is, until it was shattered one day by that fateful telegram. 15th of April, 9:13 AM. Naruhodo's Legal Consultancy. Knock, knock, knock. Oh look, you can see the steam coming up from the kettle. I like that that's moving. That morning, I was woken by the unreserved knocking on the door by the telegram boy. But after he'd gone, Susato-san's behaviour became very obviously strange. Susato-san? Yes? Is it time to leave for court already? Let me see, what case is it today? I don't think I'm scheduled to defend anyone at the moment, am I? Oh, no, of course not. How silly of me. But I think Iris said she would make us breakfast this morning. So, shall we go down to Mr. Sholmes' suite? Yes! Iris makes the most delicious breakfast food. She does, doesn't she? And once our bellies are full, we can leave for court in fighting fit form. Let me see, what case is it today? Susato-san, are you okay? Is that a Daruma-san doll? It is! It is a Daruma-san doll. It looks like a wish has been made but not fulfilled. Because it's only one eye filled in. Here we go again. Okay, I'm gonna explore my surroundings. What can I look at? I can look at the kettle. It's spring at last and the weather is warmer now. But I love the smell of the fire and the steam rising from the kettle. Oh, would you like some tea, Naruhodo-san? Thank you, Suzato-san, but I'm alright for now. With the green tea Suzato-san makes me from time to time, and Iris's unique herbal infusions. This place is paradise for a true tea lover. Hello, Kevin. Shouldn't you be asleep? Green tea is such a wonderful accompaniment to British tea cakes, don't you think? We've only been here in London for about 2 months, but my desk is starting to look a little messy already. You could tidy up once in a while. Suzato-san, I always say, making a mess is a small sacrifice to pay for being able to further your studies. And time spent tidying up is time you can't devote to the same cause. Naruhodo-san, you should really tidy up. And I say this as someone whose environment is anything but that. Because I should also tidy up. Time spent on ridiculous arguments is time that could be better spent on some simple housework. She wins, but I'm supposed to be the lawyer here. Oh, we can look at the Dharma. Ah, the Dharma doll I brought with me from home, still with only one eye coloured in. I said I'd colour the other eye once I won my first court case here in Britain, but you have one, haven't you? Twice, in fact. Because I feel as though I'm still lacking as a lawyer. I tell you what, why don't you colour the other eye in once you think I'm a proper, fully fledged lawyer? If you insist. So this is the tea set that Suzato-san brought with her from Japan. Let's hope she hasn't noticed me slipping sugar and milk into my cup when she makes it. It's just so bitter. Tea is a drink to be enjoyed, Naruhodo-san. You really don't have to force yourself to drink it, you know. I don't like to see you screw up your face, so. What's over here? This must be. I'm guessing this is Suzato-san's desk, which is a lot tidier. This must be the telegram. Let's see. No, you mustn't look at that! Not under any circumstances. Alright, I won't. I'm sorry, Naruhodo-san, but you can be very mischievous at times. And put the telegram away if you don't want people looking at it. We were rather lucky to find that old aquarium left behind here. The prawns we put in there are doing rather well, handy anemones too. It's a wonderful invention, isn't it? The sea behind glass inside your room. Another example of Great Britain's greatness. Having to clean it out and change the water isn't so great though, is it? Do you know, I've never seen inside your room there, Suzato-san. I've never even peeped inside. Well, that's a good thing, right? I shouldn't think so too. A young maiden's private chamber is a place of bittersweet secrets, you know? Whatever you say, young maiden. I think that's everything to look at. Okay, so let's talk to Zazan now. The telegram. So, what was it about? The telegram that was delivered this morning, I mean. Oh, a telegram? I don't know what you're talking about. Hi, Ethan. Sorry, but you're not going to get away with that. Well, I didn't think I would. Actually, don't give it a moment's thought. It's nothing interesting. Boring, in fact. Ahem. It was just a boring old telegram. That's 3 times now she's tried and failed to convince me it was nothing. I promise that I'll tell you about it at some point. Alright, I understand. Soseki-san. I suppose Soseki-san will have arrived back in Japan by now, won't he? Oh, speaking of Soseki-san, I did actually look through that the Wikipedia article, and I'm pretty sure that this game's Soseki-san is based on that one. There's too many similarities for it not to be. And so that's kind of cool. Anyway. Yes, I should think so. He left immediately after that terrible ordeal. Which would mean he should have completed the voyage already, or be just a few days away. A fortnight ago we had that very long telegram from him, do you remember? Complaining of seasickness. But by and large it seems the voyage has been going well. Is something wrong, Naruhodo-san? I was just wondering, what might have become of Soseki-san had he stayed in London? That's all. You mean as regards Lord Van Zeeks, the Reaper? Yes, I can't help wondering if seasickness would have paled into insignificance in that case. The Reaper. What is it they say? That no one who stands in the dock can be saved from the Reaper, right? Like the way that nightmarish trial ended on the very day we arrived in London. Even 2 months on, the cause of that dreadful fire is still a mystery. Yes, but at least Soseki-san is safely out of the country now. Presumably that means... that the curse of the Reaper can only take effect within the confines of the city of London, perhaps? Even if that's the case, it's little comfort. I have a terrible sense of foreboding. If the legend of the Reaper is to be believed, it would mean he wields the sword of justice himself. Come to think of it, I wonder what he's been up to these past 2 months. Surely not wielding that sword against more acquitted defendants. No, I don't think so. Apparently Lord Van Zeeks hasn't appeared in court once since our last encounter. Oh? Yes, since Soseki-san's trial, he is withdrawn from judicial service again, it seems. Really? Just like before, when he wasn't seen in court at all for several years. So it's just been me who's had to face him in his recent spate of trials then. Just my luck. I wonder if luck doesn't come into it. Sorry? What was that? Oh, nothing. Never mind. That's all there, so let's go down to Sholmes' suite for breakfast then. 15th of April, Sholmes' suite. Morning, Bruno. Morning, Susie. Good morning, Iris. Ah, violin noises. Iris. What is it, Runa? What is that terrible noise? It sounds like a cat being strangled. I mean, I've heard worse violin noises in a game before. But, not by much. Ah, yes, you noticed that, did you? Hurley isn't in the best form this morning, it seems. He looks rather dejected. Hello. Hello, Mr. Sholmes. Good morning. You've heard worse violin noises IRL. I don't think I've ever known anyone who plays the violin, so I guess I'm spared from that. A good morning to die, perhaps. Has something happened, Mr. Sholmes? You look miserable, and the way you were playing the violin before... My analytical mind is dead. Music is dead. The world is dead. Damn this blanched existence! That's all it is, my dear fellow. Nothing of consequence. I'm afraid I don't understand. Well, Iris, isn't it time we ate? Yeah. Lots of instruments, huh? I have never been musically inclined, shall we say. Some dry toast and insipid coffee for me, if it's not too much trouble. Hey, it's Soseki-san's cat! Oh look, it's Wagahai! Isn't that... Having read about Soseki-san, isn't that what the cat in I Am a Cat refers to itself as? Wagahai? Good morning, boy. Oh, so cute. That must be some sort of tiny door for cats to use. In school, the only thing you had to play was the recorder. Same! Me too! I was terrible at it. Actually, we had to play the keyboard as well, which I was also terrible at. How did it get there? Well then, everybody. Sorry. Well then, everyone. Time for breakfast. Wonderful! Let me help you, Iris. It would indeed be a fine day to die. I knew something looked different. Something's missing from Mr. Sholmes' desk. Wasn't there like some kind of giant machine over there before? Oh, you made it through the league, did you, Ethan? Good for you. Good job. Examine. Let's go looking. Let's go and be nosy. Being nosy. Look at Mr. Sholmes' desk. It's completely clear. Isn't that enormous machine usually on it? We can never hope to understand what goes on in the great detective's mind. Mr. Naruhodo. Why, next time we're invited, we may find he's vacated the entire suite. That's scarily plausible, actually. What's up here? There's all sorts on these shelves. Chemistry apparatus, books, papers, and lots of things I've never seen before. It's all heaped up so high I can't help feeling that the whole lot is going to topple at any moment. Oh, it's such a charmingly untidy collection of paraphernalia, isn't it? It just looks messy to me, like my desk. But you, Mr. Naruhodo, must learn to tidy up after yourself. No favoritism there, then. What else can we nosy at? The fire's burning comfortably in the grate again today. It's a very different feeling to a Japanese hibachi somehow. Oh, look at that photographic print of a lady displayed on the mantelpiece. Could it be... Yes, it must be! It's the woman! Oh, how exciting! Is that supposed to mean something to me? Apparently that was an achievement. It looks like that huge metal chest is being used as a table for tea and coffee. It seems very sturdy with an equally sturdy lock. Mr. Naruhodo, you mustn't go around opening things. I always have to keep an eye on you, don't I? You're very mischievous. How did you come to that conclusion? I mean, I wasn't going to try to open it while it's got tea stuff on it. That would be terrible. These are all mementos of Mr. Sholmes' past cases, I think. If you'd been involved in my case, I wonder if the beefsteak from Le Carnival would be on display here. That would be a terrible idea, Naruhodo-san. Can you imagine a beefsteak just slowly decaying? A mystery shoe, a curious hammer, some mysterious dancing men, a bust of Napoleon. Ah, what an entrancing collection! Stream's lagging a bit, but no buffering. I'm still just on the low latency. I don't know. I was having a couple of connection problems earlier with the internet, so maybe that's it. It looks like an untidy assortment of junk to me, rather than what's on my own shelves. Well, you really ought to learn to keep your things in order, Mr. Naruhodo. Nope, no favoritism there at all. And this must be Iris's part of the room. That's a charming little white shelf, and full of charming little bottles too. But the contents of them aren't quite so charming, it seems. Science is the future, Mr. Naruhodo, you can't deny it. I'm saving my money so I can buy some chemistry apparatus as well. Law, chemistry, takedown throws. What diverse skills you boast, Mr. Zato. As useful as they are, I'm not sure that my throwing skills are worthy of inclusion on that list. I don't know, you're very good at them, Suzato-san. This is where Iris notes down ideas, isn't it? Let's see, what does it say today? Ah, the Musicom Valley mystery. Oh, how intriguing! It must be the title of Iris's latest work. Oh my, I wonder what fantastic tale awaits us. Suzato-san looks like an angel, but I bet she's dreaming of the most unsavory crime you can imagine. Iris's beautiful tea set is there on the table as usual. A cup of one of her special herbal blends always helps me to relax when I'm feeling the strain. The English pastime of tea has many similarities with our own tea ceremony customs, don't you think? It's the idea of hospitality behind it. That's the essence of tea. I suppose. There's a lot more ceremony to the Japanese tea ceremony there. Come to think of it, I haven't seen Iris doing much writing recently. There's paper already set up in the typewriter, look, as if she's about to start. That reminds me, when I mentioned that Iris was in the process of writing a full-fledged novel, Mr. Natsume was most impressed. Ah yes, Mr. Natsume. That's what I'll be doing too, once I'm back in Japan, he said through tightly clenched fists and teeth. The British version has better sweets. I haven't really tried, what's the word? Much in the way of traditional Japanese sweets. I can just go straight into talking to her from the investigation screen. That's cool. Wagahai. Mr. Natsume's cat seems to have settled into his new home then. Oh yes, and I've become very attached to little Waggy. It would appear his previous owner is completely forgotten to him. Cats are unfeeling creatures. Their mew is as empty as the hearts of the muses. Sholmes, I disagree. I disagree. Cats do have feelings. Oh, look at him. If Mr. Natsume had no intention of taking Waggy back to Japan, I wonder why he kept him in the first place. I expect he would have taken him if he could. But pets are strictly forbidden aboard steamships in our experience. And for good reason, terrible things can happen if the rules of passage are not obeyed. Yeah, people can die. Well, I don't mind, because Waggy is adorable. Aww. You just go, meow. So cute. Yes, he really is. Oh yes, what about the door? I don't remember seeing that tiny thing in the main door before. Where did that come from? Oh, you notice? You're very observant, Reno. Look, I used this! It's my latest invention! What is that? Is that a gun for making cat flaps? I call it the cat flapper mat! It is indeed a gun for making cat flaps. Gosh, a machine for making doors just for cats? That's right, it can make a cat flap for a little furry friend like Waggy in seconds. And it can do it in any door at all, no matter what it's made of. It's very powerful, you see. I sense that might be a useful device. Wouldn't this have been quicker just to make the cat flap, rather than making a machine to make the cat flap? Well, yes, maybe, but now I can make cat flaps anywhere I like. Oh, I think it's wonderful. You must make one for us in the door of our office upstairs, Iris. She really knows how to come up with unconventional inventions, this girl. I mean, perhaps making a machine to do that would make it neater than doing it by hand, right? Alright, what's up with Sholmes? Wanting to die. You seem to be very unhappy this morning, Mr. Sholmes. What's happened? It used to be the case that in my hands, this violin sung like the dawn chorus. Its mellifluent notes would make the flowers bloom. It would? But now, the muses are unamused with me. The goddesses of music have thrown me over. Whatever do you mean, Mr. Sholmes? For hours I have bowed, for days even. Through the night I have endeavoured, to no avail. That sound, my tone, is lost. Have you considered taking the instrument to be looked at by someone who might be able to fix something on it? Like maybe it's something about it has fallen out of tune. I don't know. I don't know about music or instruments. That brilliant, clear, unwavering tone, gone forever. No more recitals of unbridled emotion. Are you copying Saseki's sound at this point? Well, you haven't been practicing much lately, have you, Hurley? Don't worry, I'm sure it'll come back to you in time. Heed my words, Mr. Naruhodo. The goddesses of the arts are fickle. One day they bestow genius on a man, the next they unmercifully withdraw it. Oh dear. Ah, why is this happening to me? If they take the turn I have for the violin from me, what is left, for pity's sake? What is left? Deduction, perhaps? Isn't that what you're known for? The missing machine. Mr. Sholmes, I don't like to pry, but... Your desk looks rather empty today. Ah, well done, Mr. Sato. Your observational skills do you credit. Oh, no, Mr. Sholmes. They pale into insignificance when compared to yours. You'd struggle not to notice, wouldn't you? You mean Hurley's great analytoscope? That's at Windy Banks now. Sorry, it's at a Windy Bank? No, Windy Banks, the pawnbrokery. Oh no! Oh no! Sholmes is running low on money. Pawn? What? You mean you've pawned that enormous machine of yours? It has some considerable value, you see, quite undeservingly. But isn't it a very important machine for your work? I do wish you had consulted us if your situation had become so desperate. I should have gladly passed what little income I have to you. No, Suzette-san, don't take pity on him. Dear Madame, things are far from desperate. But the pawnbroker, but the pawnbroker has your wonderful machine. How can it be anything but desperate? Making use of a pawnbroker is quite ordinary here in London, I assure you. It is? It doesn't sound ordinary at all. It would seem that neither of you fully understand how pawnbroking works. Oh. What's to understand exactly? How pawnbroking works. What did you mean when you said we didn't fully understand how pawnbroking works? To the people of London, pawnbrokeries are akin to banks. You're treating us as a loan, huh? Banks? On Mondays, merchants relinquish their finest jackets and trappings to their pawnbroker of choice. With the money they receive in return, they are able to trade happily through the week. And then on Saturdays, they go to recover their things using the money they've earned. I had no idea. This has been a fascinating lesson for us. Everyone does it, you see, especially people in inner London. And should they have money to spare, they would purchase another fine jacket. Not to wear, obviously, but to pawn, should the need arise. Oh, how ingenious! So whenever we have something that's getting in the way, we leave it at Windy Banks, you see. Pawnbrokery can be thought of as an extremely secure vault. Who would have thought that even pawnbrokers are different here in Great Britain? Of course, you have to watch Hurley with it. Sometimes he pawns things he really shouldn't. Don't you, Hurley? What does it matter? The world is dead to me now. That sounded like an upset Wagahai. Oh, what was that? Wagahai? A very upset Wagahai. I thought I heard a chicken. What was that? Oh no! Wagahai's tangled up in your violin! Oh, it was the violin. I think he thinks it's a toy. No! What's he doing to it? Oh dear, Mr. Sholmes' precious violin. Well, if it was that precious, you should have put it away, Sholmes. You should have put it back in its case. Why should I care? What? I shouldn't be surprised if the cat is a more accomplished musician than I now. Mr. Jones really is in poor spirits, isn't he? Well, anyway, I'll put it back where it lives, shall I, Hurley? Out of the cat's reach, if possible. Maybe we should assess the damage. Let's go look at the violin then. Why is it not in a case? So this is the violin, is it? It's a Stradivarius, one of the finest violins in the world, made by the renowned Italian Lucia? Would it be Lucia? Antonio Stradivari. Now you see, I know nothing about musical instruments, but I do know that a Stradivarius is a big deal. Oh, I see. It doesn't really look like anything special to me. I happened upon it, covered in dust, languishing in a pawn shop down a nondescript back alley. The broker had no idea of its value, so I was able to purchase it for a mere 55 shillings. How honourable of you. And until today, it has been my faithful companion in every Paganini-inspired performance I have made. I ask you, is there reason to live in a world devoid of music? To tolerate this vanished existence? No! There is not! Mr. Sholmes? What, dear madame, what? My thoughts are preoccupied with fancies of release from this dull routine. Well, it's about the violin. It looks very different to normal, don't you think? What do you mean, Mrs. Zato? Oh, Susie's right. Yes, the tone of the wood is completely different. And that's not all. I'm sure there was no crack here before. Wait, it's not even the right size, is it? What's this? I'm terribly sorry to have to tell you this, Mr. Sholmes, but that instrument isn't a violin at all. Then what? I believe it's an entirely different instrument called a viola. What? Oh, Mr. Sholmes, you all right? You're right! You're quite right. This isn't my faithful Stradivarius. So what, pray, is this piece of stringed flotsam? Not your faithful performing partner, then. Ah, I see what must have happened. You do, Iris? This is just a simple mix-up. Oh, do you mean that that Sholmes pawned his violin, and when he went to buy it back, he got a viola instead? Sounds like Iris might be able to tell us exactly what's happened if we ask her. What do you mean by a mix-up, Iris? Well, you see, this viola, I mean, was at Windibanks until last week. I was right! At the pawnbrokers? Not not Mr. Sholmes' beloved musical partner. There is a proverb from the East with which you are no doubt familiar, my dear fellows. Always let a beloved child travel. Yes, indeed. So you sent your beloved violin to the pawnbrokers in the hopes that it would experience personal growth? Oh, what a wonderful idea! Last week I pawned my great analytoscope in order to release my precious instrument. But it would appear Mr. Windibank mistakenly furnished me with this tawdry fiddle instead. But my ears cannot be deceived by the hollow timbre of this piece of timber. No, but your every sense was deceived by the fact it just had strings. Pshaw! A fine state of affairs this is. And why I always say, Mr. Naruhodo, never trust a pawnbroker, they will try to fiddle you every time. You were just talking about how great they were as a banking service. Susato is fangirling way too hard for Sholmes. I mean, that's just her general state of being, isn't it? But earlier you told us that you could think of a pawnbrokery as an extremely secure vault. Come, Mr. Naruhodo, dilly-dallying will get you nowhere. Sorry? Crunching your toast with that vacant aspect, brushing your coffee so obtusely. Are you not a little embarrassed by your own conduct, considering the urgency with which we are faced? We must visit Mr. Windibank's brokery at once. That's right, isn't it, Mr. Sholmes? Precisely, Miss Susato, without a moment's delay. But I haven't finished my bacon and eggs. My dear fellow, surely you do not still intend to crunch your bacon with an increasingly vacant aspect, to fret your egg ever more obtusely. Alright, say no more, let's go then. Don't worry, Runo, I'll be happy to heat it up for you again later. Oh, thank you, Iris. As it happens, I am rather curious to see what a British pawnbroker's looks like. Do we have any more conversing to do? No? Then let us go! A new location has been added. Ooh, we got two locations, Baker Street and the pawnbrokery. Let's go to Baker Street first. I see, the pawnbrokery is here. Pawnbrokery, store for rent, and closed. Why does Susato and Naruhodo have to help out since it shows its own fault? Well, yes. It's already been 2 months since we started taking lodgings here above Mr. Sholmes' office. You know, I kind of want to go visit the real Baker Street. I've never actually been there. I've been to the tube station. But just to change tubes. Still can't quite believe it. I never expected things would turn out like this. Oh, I know! To actually be sharing accommodation with the world's greatest detective. If I ever find myself before a court of law now, I will have not one regret. I don't know what you're talking about. I'd be happy to defend you, of course. Okay, that seems like it's all that's to be looked at here. Aside from the pawnbrokers. Look at all the different things in the window of this shop. You're right, it must get a lot of tourists. Ah, that's Windibank's, the pawnbrokery. It's literally like 3 doors down from where he lives, I see. That's why he uses it so often. It looks much smarter than a pawnbroker's in Japan, doesn't it? Yes, you're right. I find pawn shops at home rather inapproachable, personally. It reminds me of tearfully parting with my favourite fountain pen. I felt so miserable. What doesn't kill us makes us stronger, Mr. Naruhodo. Okay, that's all there is to look at here. So let's go inside Winterbank's Pawnbrokery. There's so much to see in here! So many things. A lot of clocks. We can't say I've ever really been in a pawn. Actually, no. I haven't. No, I was about to say I haven't been in a pawnbroker's, but technically I have. Technically. 15th of April, Winterbank's Pawnbrokery. So this is a British pawnbrokery. I mean, this one looks a lot more like an antiques shop, but then again, we are in like antiques. Yep, yeah, the thinker is there. Do we think it's an actual statue this time, or or a clock? I mean, probably not a clock, because I think it's too modern for this time period. I'm sort of looking at that skull over there on the left. That may or may not be a mug. Oh my! There's all sorts of tools and contraptions in here that I've never laid eyes on before. There's like a lot of hats hanging from the ceiling as well. So, and a bathtub. Some lanterns, a birdcage. All sorts of stuff in here. Ah, Suzato-san, and that spark of wonder in your eyes. You can't wait to scour the shelves, can you? I get the impression you enjoy places like this. Oh yes, I don't know why, but seeing such a lot of things I don't understand is a real thrill. For me. My dear fellows, let us not forget why we are here. Oh, Mr. Sholmes. We are calling on matters of business, not pleasure. And clearly Mr. Sholmes means business too, judging from the spark of fury in his eyes. Okay, we need a voice for Mr. Winterbank. Ah, Mr. Sholmes, sir. Welcome back. Did you hear that brazen welcome? Well, yes, we are potential customers after all. We are disgruntled customers, Mr. Naruhodo, and it is time to inform Mr. Winterbank of our ire. Come! The fight is afoot. Well, I'm sorry, but first I want to look around, Sholmes. I want to peer at stuff. What's over here? What are you doing, my dear fellows? We are not here to browse for interesting curios. We have come to teach this broker a lesson. Oh, but there are just so many fascinating items. It looks as though we'll have to talk to Mr. Winterbank first before you can explore in here, Mr. Zato. Aww. Aww, I gotta talk to the guy first, huh? Alright. Violin. Naturally you will recall this, which I retrieved from you some days ago. Yes? This second-rate fiddle is not my faithful instrument, Mr. Winterbank. The colour of the wood is different, it has holes in it, it's not even the same size. A wonderful summary of our observations, Mr. Sholmes. I'm so very sorry, sir. How utterly unforgivable of me. An inexcusable mistake for a pawnbroker. There is only one way to make amends. Oh no! I shall have to take my own life. And that's a bit much, sir. I don't think that will be necessary, do you? If I may say one thing before I pop off. Yes? It was you, sir, Mr. Sholmes, who took it upon himself to remove the item the other day, I believe. Sorry? As I recall, I entered the storeroom to fetch your violin when I heard... Ah, here it is. You did? And when I turned to controvert you, you had taken the viola and left, sir. Oh no, it's all Sholmes' fault. However, there can be no doubt that the blame lies firmly at my own door for allowing you to leave. So I shall not grumble or grouse any longer. May this guilt die with me. No, stop, my dear fellow, the fault is mine. Phew. Shows you dolt, right? Sholmes just went, ooh, a stringed instrument, this must be mine. It would appear that the fight is over. I do humbly apologize, Mr. Winterbank. Evidently my questionable disposition precipitated this tragedy. Well, you wouldn't be Mr. Herlock Sholmes without that questionable disposition now, would you? Haha, I do believe you may be right, sir. Ha 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 ha. It's either laugh or cry, I suppose. You are, it must be said, one of my more challenging customers. I needn't remind you of the peculiar collection of items you brought through my door in the past. Oh, peculiar items? In the extreme, for example, the unpublished manuscript of an eponymous work, the novels of Herlock Sholmes, or some such. Oh my! A new full-fledged novel? And unpublished? A story I have yet to read, you mean? Ah, forgive me! Wait, before you die, you must tell me more. I must know more, tell me everything! Wow, Suzette-san is really fired up now. Is there really an unpublished story under this very roof? Well, one day the gentleman here brought in an old metal chest, you see. I should like to entrust this to your care for a while, Mr. Winterbank. For a chest like that, 1 shilling, sir. That's a farthing more. It houses something of great value indeed. The latest manuscript recounting the adventures of one Mr. Herlock Sholmes. I beg your pardon, a manuscript? You wish to deposit a manuscript? Indeed I do, for I am confident that it will be quite safe here. And that was that. As such, Mr. Sholmes' latest tale of otherworldly mystery lies dormant in my storeroom. Mr. Sholmes, is that really true? Do I sense that someone doesn't want to talk about this? I continue to pay your fee, do I not? Then kindly continue to store my belongings, securely. Of course, sir, of course. They're safe and sound with me, I assure you, on my life. This is all very strange. Unbreakery. I wonder, could I ask you something? Ah, a gentleman from the east, I see. Yes, that sable suit. I suppose I could offer you 6pence for it. Without wishing to offend, the tone is somewhat dull. Sorry? Aha! But for your splendid attire, ma'am, 5 guineas, no less. The colours are exquisite, the design exotic, Eastern artistry at its finest, may I say. Oh my, 5 guineas, you say? How interesting. Why do I feel as though I've suffered some sort of defeat here? Actually, I was hoping to ask you about your business. I've heard it said that pawnbrokeries are used rather like banks here in London. Yes, sir, indeed. Many of my customers utilize the establishment as you describe. I appraise their items and offer them a proportionate loan and 2 months of secure stowage. If in that time they repay the original sum to me plus the agreed interest, their items are happily returned. But what happens if they don't pay you the money? Then the items are offered for sale in my shop, as you can see on the shelves behind me. So you never sell items before the 2 months have passed, then? That's right, ma'am, that's right. Which means some considerable responsibility rests on my shoulders. Should a customer's precious belongings be lost, the only recompense is for me to end it all. The very idea, Mr. Winterbank, is an absurdity. One should never talk of one's demise so casually. There's the person who was saying it was a good day to die this morning, Mr. Jones. I do enjoy visiting, like, antique shops, and charity shops are quite nice because they have all kinds of interesting stuff in them. And antique shops tend to be rather on the expensive side. Says the man who was telling us all it was a good day to die only this morning. See, I said it myself. I saw the way. And let us not forget that I have already helped you take measures to ensure such a tragedy never occurs. Oh, what sort of measures? I engineered a simple device, which Mr. Winterbank has installed here in his shop. I call it the Red-Handed Recorder. Is that not so, Mr. Winterbank? What was that deep sigh about? Red-handed recorder. What on earth is a red-handed recorder? Use your eyes, my dear fellow. There are 2 just below the ceiling. I can see what appears to be a camera attached to some sort of timing device. Auction sites, huh? Yeah, yeah, I look at auction sites sometimes. Like, there was one for it was like a museum sort of clearance, and there were some interesting weapons that I was kind of tempted to, but couldn't justify. Like, I don't have the space to own a cannon. But it's fun looking at them for sale. Very astute. It is indeed a camera, furnished with some 100 pieces of celluloid film. And every 30 minutes precisely, the camera automatically records the appearance of the shop. Here, I have an example I can show you. That skull is a mug! Oh, look at the puppy picture! There's a picture of a puppy, it looks like. I mean, I don't intend on buying a cannon unless I would have somewhere to put it. If I lived somewhere with a larger garden, maybe I would buy a cannon. Maybe. Ah yes, a print from the camera set to record the activity at the shop counter. I developed a special type of film so sensitive it produces a crystal clear image even in darkness. Really? That's extraordinary. Yes, you can clearly see the counter and the door behind it. Look. So you see, were someone to enter the premises with ill intent, his identity would be summarily exposed. But did you not say the photographic prints were taken at 30-minute intervals? Indeed, as you say, my dear madame. Then what if the incident were to occur in between times? One could only say that would be a cruel twist of fate. I must confess, your devices have been giving me some cause for distress of late. I beg your pardon, Mr. Winterbank. Surely they are anything but distressing. Reassuring is the word. If you had the space and money, you'd buy like Lord of the Rings weaponry. That would be pretty cool. That would be pretty cool. I'd like a small armory. It would be nice. I like weird weapons. Like axes that are also guns. It's the cost of the film, sir. You most graciously placed not one, but 2 cameras in my shop after all. Which means I must pay for nigh on 100 utterly useless prints every single day. I'm afraid the cost of the film will break me before I'm very much older. Nevertheless, a small price to pay to ensure the safety of my preferred pawnbroker, you know? My dear fellows, we verge on an age where safety and security come at a price. Oh, heaven help us. Now then, Mr. Sholmes, allow me to return your precious violin. Ah, very thick. Thank you, Mr. Winterbank. Perhaps this might mark the end of the peculiar items you tried to pop, Because if anything were to happen to one of them, this would be the only answer. I really think you ought to stop waving that gun around. Someone could get hurt. Fear not! Sorry? I've only loaded a single bullet, so no one but myself could possibly be harmed. That's not really what I meant. Good day to you then, Mr. Winterbank. It's been a pleasure as always, Mr. Sholmes. So, Mr. Naruhodo, now we can explore at last. Yeah, let's explore. Explore. There seems to be a little drawer hidden behind that curtain there. Sorry, a little... Why did I read drawer? A little door hidden behind that curtain there. That leads to the storage room, where Mr. Winterbanks keeps articles that are currently in pawn. Ah, I see. There's nothing of particular interest inside. I certainly wouldn't recommend any larcenous activity. Recommended or not, it's not something I tend to do. There is but one key, and Mr. Winterbanks keeps it in his pockets at all times. Before he sleeps, he places it into a small pot, which he slides under his pillow. How on earth do you know about that, Mr. Sholmes? I am a detective, sir. It is my business to know what others do not. I am frequently assailed by information that I neither care for nor wish to retain. Mr. Sholmes, you are a wonder. And the prime suspect if this pawnbroker is ever burgled. What an assortment of things there are on these shelves here. Crockery, footwear, clocks and watches. Almost anything you care to imagine. Those are forfeited items offered for sale by the pawnbroker. What does that really mean, though? When you pawn, or colloquially pop, an item, the broker loans you money against its worth. He stores the item for an agreed period of time, after which the loan must be repaid. If not, he is free to display it at his shop for sale at a price of his choosing. Oh yes, now you've explained it, I'm noticing little price tags on everything. Of course, simply by paying the agreed interest on the loan, one can extend the period of safekeeping. So you may pawn that black garb of yours without fear, my dear fellow. My treasured university uniform? Never! It embodies my student spirit. Okay, we can't look at the stuff up there. Look at the stuff in the middle here, or the clocks. Now, what do you suppose this rather enormous machine does? It seems to have two little windows for looking through. Is it a sort of kaleidoscope? No, not kaleidoscope. What's the other thing? Allow me to enlighten you, my dear fellows. What you are looking at is a stereoscope. That's what that was the word I was looking for. What you are looking at is a stereoscope. A stereoscope. Fascinating. It is aptly named, I assure you. Look through the eyepieces and see for yourself. Oh, I should be delighted to. Excuse me a moment while I just have a look. Just before you do, there is something I should point out. My dear fellows, in order to see the image properly, stereoscopically, as it were, you will need to be cross-eyed. However, if that is beyond you, it is of little consequence today. Alright then, I'm going to try it. Ah! Mr. Marihoda, you must see! At once! Oh, alright then. So I need to be cross-eyed, like I'm trying to look at my own nose? What the... Wait. Was she one of our jurors last time? I don't believe it. It's just a photographic print, but it seems like you could reach out and touch it. Yes, the sense of depth is startling, is it not? Stereoscopes are one of London's many fads. They are often found in little stalls in the park. People queue for hours to see them. But why? Why are people meddling with such black magic? It is no magic, my dear madame. It is, well, far too complicated to explain at present. We shall save this lesson for another day. So, Mr. Sholmes, you don't know how stereoscopes work, huh? I know how stereoscopes work. It's basically how the 3DS's screen works, right? Or how 3D films work in general. Um, got two images slightly offset. One viewed with each eye, and that makes it look 3D, I think. Oh. Look at this, whatever could it be used for? I have no idea. Neither do I from the look of it. Ah! There's a small catch just here, look. Is it like a pop-up stereoscope? We're going to open it, aren't we? Oh my, that's amazing! It has some sort of spring-loaded mechanism. Which we'll never manage to put back the way it was before. What are you two doing? What? Us? Nothing! No, nothing at all. Whatever this device is, it seems to have a pair of little windows to look through. I feel as though I've seen something rather similar to this elsewhere. Oh, we don't get to look through that one, huh? The door. 3 globes of gold. Is that some sort of charm? Dear me, have you not seen that sign before? No, never. The 3 golden balls are, in Great Britain at least, the universal sign of a pawnbrokery. I didn't know that. There are more than 700 such establishments in the capital, all showing the same sign. Oh, I see. I had not imagined your ignorance was so profound. Oh, well, what is the significance of the 3 golden balls then? Does it have some special meaning? That is entirely unimportant here, dear madame. Irrelevant, even. As in, you don't actually know what it is, Shones. You mean you don't know? That's... Wait, no, I can't. I can look at this clock. Look at this! What could this lovely big shiny box be? That, my dear madame, is a music box. Oh yeah, sorry, that one's a music box and not a clock, that's true. It's got the little cylinder. Surely you have such things in your own country? Oh, yeah, yes, but I've never seen one so large before. Shall we listen a while? What a sublime sound. It's like the music of angels. I've never heard anything like it before in my life. This particular specimen is of the larger variety, commonly found in public houses and restaurants. There is a metal disc inside on which the notes to be played are recorded. Simply by replacing the disc with another, any music you care to imagine can be played. My goodness! What a simply delightful machine! Indeed, though their popularity has waned recently with the development of the gramophone, of course. Science and technology advance at such an overwhelming pace. You're wondering if the plants are bond or just there to freshen up the stuff. You mean like, yeah, we've got like a couple of cacti. I can imagine I was gonna say I can imagine that plants wouldn't fare very well in the back room, but I mean they're cacti, so they're a bit hardier. Got a sign here. Oh. It is a photo of a dog. I thought it was a photo of a dog. It looks like a golden retriever. Look at that enormous ledger open on the counter there. Mr. Winterbank is, if nothing else, very particular about recording the items he accepts. He'd have to be, otherwise he'd get himself in all sorts of trouble. Which might explain the thing that catches my eye far more than the ledger. This revolver here. Do not entertain even a single... Do not entertain even a single thought of pilfering an article herein, my dear fellow. I assure you, Mr. Winterbank would not hesitate to draw that weapon with a speed belying his portly size. Oh, you don't mean he'd... Blow his brains out, indeed, in recompense for his blunder. Oh. Oh my. But in any case, of course we would never do such a thing. How could you even suggest that? You're the good boy. I do like golden retrievers. They're very nice. I think that's everything we can look at, so I guess we'll go back out to the street. Okay, maybe we'll go back to Chim's suite. Maybe we'll find that we actually missed something at the pawnbroker's. I think we missed something at the pawnbrokers. Yeah, they're very gentle dogs. One did almost trip me up into a river once, but that was kind of my own fault, in part, for being in the river in the first place. And it was just excited. There we go, we missed the calendar. And it was just a little excited and wrapped its lead around me, and I'm like, oh dear, I'm stood knee-deep in water. with the dog lead around my legs. I think that was a golden retriever anyway. I seem to remember. That's not a calendar you could easily miss, is it? 15th of April, today's date. Yes, that's not for sale, I must point out. It's an Eastern-style page-a-day calendar. Every night at midnight, I tear off the front page to reveal the following day's date. The perfect calendar for a tearaway fellow such as yourself, Mr. Winterbank. And who was it who walked out of here with the wrong violin before? Well, when the agreed storage period has passed without repayment, articles are forfeited, you see. So I have to keep a close eye on the date. It's something of a pawnbroker's obsession, you might say. Oh yes, I can see you're very dedicated to your job. What? Only tuppence for it? That ain't fair, and you know it. The article is barely worth a penny, miss. I cannot offer more. Sounds like there's an argument brewing over by the counter. Come on, that can't be right. Have you even had a proper butcher's at it? Why was I in the river? It was a ford. I had elected to use the ford rather than the bridge because I thought it would be fun. It was very warm, so like walking in the river seemed preferable. And that definitely sounds like you that collie was trying to herd you. I've seen all I need to see, young girl. We know that girl! Wait, don't we know? I'm sure I recognise her. Oh yes, it's the young lady from Mr. McGilded's trial 2 months ago. Her name is Gina Lestrade, my lord. No, that's not my McGilded voice. Her name is her name is Gina Lestrade, my lord. She's a chancer, earns her crust among large crowds, relieving people of their purses. What's commonly called a pickpocket. No, I can't do my Irish though. I've lost my Irish. Gordon Bennett, you lot! Hello, Miss Lestrade. I hope you've been well. Why does she still have that gun? Wasn't it Iris's? Eh, what? You remember me then, do you? Well, I remember being completely surrounded by smoke, that's for sure. So what you doing in here? Down and out like the rest of us, nothing to eat. Come to pop that black weasel, sorry, coat, have you? What is it about this black uniform that makes everyone comment on it? Ah, good day, unless I'm much mistaken. You would be the young pickpocket that stole our experimental smoke grenade launcher. Mr. Jones! So, you have something of value to pawn, do you? Allow me to see the article and I shall negotiate with Mr. Winterbank on your behalf. Pull the other one, eh? I don't need no help from some stuck-up D. Get out my business, go on or I'll make trouble for you. As you wish, Miss Lestrade. I will happily remove myself from your presence. He's really done it. He's gone. I am sorry, but as I said, there is really no room for negotiation here. What is that thing he has in his hand? Yeah. So? Hiccups, apparently. Yeah, she probably did steal it. Some sort of metal disc? Oh, is that for the music box? And you, go on, leave me alone! Oh, Miss Lestrade, just pretend we aren't here. We shan't be offended in the slightest. Suzette-san can really stand her ground when she wants to. Whatever. Thus... Somehow I didn't really think you were the sort of person who'd use a pawnbroker, Miss Lestrade. Yeah, well I am alright. I'm a Londoner just like everyone else. That's a problem, is it? No, not at all. It's just that, well... Oh, I get it. I know what you're thinking. That thing probably don't even belong to her. Probably got her on the dive, didn't she? Yeah, I can see it written all over your Chevy Chase. Well, I might have been thinking something along those lines. You're not going to deny it, Mr. Naruhodo? I mean, I wouldn't, because I thought that too. Alright then, I'm just going to come out and ask you straight. Do you pawn things that you steal from other people? Well, I don't know how best to answer that, really. Suppose, sometimes. You're not going to deny it either, Miss Lestrade? But not this time, alright, I swear. That thing belongs to me. The disc that Mr. Winterbank is holding. Perhaps we should see what he has to say about all this. By going over here and talking to it. Miss Lestrade's disc. Mr. Winterbank, what exactly does this metal disc that Miss Lestrade... What exactly is this metal disc that Miss Lestrade has brought in? It seems to have hundreds of little tiny bumps on its surface. Ah, this is a music disc, you see, for use inside a music box. In a music box? What, you don't even know what a music box is? You Eastern folk ain't... You Eastern lot ain't too savvy, eh? I knew what a music box is, I've just never seen one of these discs before. Aside from the one we were looking at over there. The small protrusions on the metal disc encode the tune to be played by the music box. You simply insert the disc and set the machine going, and beautiful music plays. It's so incredible! Tell us, what tune is on this disc? Well, I'm afraid I couldn't tell you that. There are so many different types of music box, you see. British-made, German, Swiss. I have no way of knowing what particular machine this disc was made for. Ah, I see. And that's it in a nutshell. I wouldn't have any customers for an item like this, even if the young lady forfeited it. Really, I'm already offering more than I should at a penny. That's a packet of lies. He told me he did. He said it was... well... He? Who? Never you mind, it just ain't right, that's all. That disc's worth good money, I know it is. Well then, you'll have to try your luck at another pawnbroker's, won't you? I'm guessing it's not the sort that goes in the music box that he has here. Otherwise he should have tried it, right? Gina Lestrade. She's been in before, of course, this little tatterdemalion. See. And brought some dubious article or other with her every single time, I might add. Dubious? What are you trying to say? An honest customer, me? So, is there something dubious about the disc she brought in today? Well, if only it were that simple. Sorry? What do you mean? What she actually brought in was a storage ticket. A storage ticket, so... Miss Lestrade has actually come to redeem an article from you today, is that right? Yeah, that's right. A girl like me has a lot of stuff what needs storing. Alright, yes, that's definitely dubious. The article in question would have been forfeited at midnight tonight. But as she gave me the ticket for it and repaid both the loan and the interest, I was obliged to return the article to her. But what was the article? Do tell us, Mr. Winterbank. Isn't that a little too, getting involved in other people's business? A little scamp is wearing it, ma'am. It's the overcoat that she redeemed. Oh. What? What's wrong with that? It fits, don't it? I mean, it's mine, so of course it does. So what about the disc then? How does that come into all this? Ah, the disc is something else. A new article to pawn if the girl and I can agree a price. I'm confused. I thought you said that Miss Lestrade brought in a storage ticket today. It's really quite simple. Yes, the child brought me a storage ticket and the money owed on it, as you say. for this heavy black coat which you returned to her care, as I understood it. That's right, yes, and rather unsurprisingly, as soon as the little ragamuffin put the thing on, she went rifling through the pockets. Oh, you mean... What? Don't you know it's rude to stare at a lady? Ah, I see. So it came from the pocket of the overcoat, did it? If you mean this disc, then yes, exactly, ma'am. And she immediately tried to pawn it? For quite a high price as well. This is all rather suspicious, I think. Give it up! I'm just trying to pawn something like anyone else would. Miss Lestrade, may I ask who deposited the overcoat here in the first place? Well, me. It doesn't really appear to be your size. I don't know, it looks fine on her. Me old man, it's me old man's, ain't it? Is it, Miss Lestrade? Yes, this is definitely all rather suspicious. What kind of a person do I think this is? Out of my way, please! Like that, maybe? Nope, okay. A little bit less old, okay. Who is this picture postcard English gentleman? Good day to you, ladies, gentlemen. What's your problem, eh? There is no problem, as long as you remove yourself. I have a matter to discuss with the proprietor. And if you intend to make a problem of it, I shall see you outside, little girl, for the hiding you deserve. Look, ain't it obvious? I ain't done talking with him yet. If you think you're such a gent, you should know how to wait in line. A rude and haughty one, right? If you're a proper English gentleman, you should know how to queue. It is the proper English thing to do. Well, you are an impudent little brat, aren't you? As well as a pickpocket. Yeah? Who are you? How do you know who I am? The question is, how do you not know who I am? You haven't the courtesy to even remember the faces of your victims, it seems. What? You mean from you? Broker? Yes, sir? I believe this filthy pocket thief has just redeemed an article from you, no? Yes, the article in question belongs to me. I demand for it to be returned at once. Oh my! Now that's a lie, what are you trying to pull? Give me back my overcoat, you wastrel, and needless to say, any music box discs too. No, you can't have it. You just can't. It's me old man's, or it was. Now it's mine. Goodness, Mr. Naruhodo. This is a very awkward situation. Yes. I think perhaps we should hear both sides of the story in a little more detail. Yeah, I don't like him either. Oop, no, wrong button, wrong. Converse. The gentleman's accusation. Miss Lestrade, is what the gentleman is saying... What do you think? It's all lies, ain't it? Obviously. I swear on my life, I ain't never laid eyes on that dandy before. Let's hear it now, you little ragamuffin. You stole it, didn't you? That ticket you brought in here just now. No, I swear it. I swear to God. It was barely an hour ago. I was walking along the street, minding my own business, when this little gutterling ran into me. I knew at once what had happened. I've been robbed yet again, I thought to myself. Those wretched pickpockets. Yet again? Oh yes, as you can see, I am a man of impeccable style. This isn't the first time that I've been targeted by these backslummed scoundrels. Now then, relinquish my overcoat. You see, I look at him, I look at that overcoat, and I go, that definitely ain't yours. Go along now, Miss Lestrade, give the good gentleman his coat back. If you're going to cause trouble, I shall have no choice but to call the police. Hold on, why does everyone think it's me? Just look at this dandy cove, and you think I'm the dodgy one? I'm sorry, but no one's going to believe you. I believe her. Well, what about evidence? Yeah. Where's your evidence that I've stolen something, eh? Come on, let's see it. Yeah, exactly. The overcoat isn't gaudy enough for this man. That's a bog standard overcoat, that is. Not like the fancy duds he's wearing. Oh, I have evidence, naturally. You what? Evidence. Evidence that the article Miss Lestrade redeemed actually belongs to this gentleman? Of course, we need only consult Mr. Winterbank's ledger to know the truth. We'll be able to look up the name of the person who deposited the article in the first place. Yes, brilliant! I'm very sorry, but I'm afraid that won't be possible. Oh? I never ask customers' names, that's a strict policy of mine. I feel like this should be the sort of thing that you take people's names for. Take their names, check their ID, you know, that sort of thing. But I guess in Victorian England, that's not quite as easy. The ID's part, I suppose. But why not? Well now, as you can imagine, some of my customers have circumstances to consider. A great many of them prefer to maintain their anonymity. Yes, I see. But then how can you know if an article belongs to the person asking to redeem it? Oh, it's quite simple. Good sir, might I trouble you for the watchword associated with the article in question? Of course, it's... Professor. Yes, that's right, and all the evidence we need. This gentleman is the rightful owner of the article, without doubt. A watchword? Interesting. So, about these watchwords, Mr. Winterbank. As I just explained, I never ask customers' names when they deposit items with me. There are many reasons why certain customers would like to keep their activities secret. That wasn't exactly a subtle glance at Mr. Sholmes now, was it? Great detectives have no dark secrets, not at all. Also, you'd think that Mr. Winterbanks would remember a gentleman as gaudy as that coming to deposit an overcoat. Yes, well, anyway, that's why I always ask for a watchword whenever I accept a new article. In many ways, it's like the secret combination of numbers used to unlock a vault. The date of deposit, a description, and a watchword uniquely identify each item. And of course, then I give the storage ticket to the customer. When someone comes to redeem something, I ask for the ticket and the watchword. And you didn't this time? And if that someone tells you the correct watchword, you return the article? That's right, sir, yes. Just as soon as the requisite fee is paid. And I have supplied you with the information you require already. But for the avoidance of doubt, the article in question is an overcoat deposited 2 months ago on 15th of February. With a watchword of Professor. All perfectly correct information, sir. But how? Really, this is beyond a joke now. There's no further room for doubt. I guess we're done with the talking there. I guess we talk to the gentleman now. Picture postcard gentleman. Excuse me, but who are you? One would expect the inquirer to introduce himself first. Though clearly you are not British, so perhaps our ways are foreign to you. Oh, sorry. Yes, we're from the Empire of Japan. We're studying here. Good evening, Yuri. How are you doing? Oh yes, Japan. I've heard talk of the place. Its inhabitants live on some fiery brown coloured soup, dressed up with exotic spices. You might be thinking of somewhere else. And what was that theatrical gesticulation about? Perhaps. Anyway, if you are a gentleman, sir, you offer your own name first before inquiring after the name of another. Of course, yes, I'm Ryunosuke Naruhodo. I'm a lawyer, well, a student of law, really. My name is Suzato Mikitoba. I'm Mr. Naruhodo's assistant. I see. My name is Benedict. Yes. Eggert Benedict. No! What? Sir, why is your name a foodstuff? Yes, Eggert Benedict. Enchanté. He's so refined in how he holds himself and how he speaks, but that name is suspicious. Now, to the matter at hand. My overcoat. Return it at once. To someone with the style to carry it off. I don't know, it suits her. It suits her pretty well. How am I supposed to say that line with a straight face? When it reminds me of song lyrics? God. Every move he makes, every breath he takes, I can't stand watching him. What about your other jackets, sir? So let that be an end to the matter. And thank you for your custom, Mr. Eggert Benedict, sir. Yeah, That jacket really does not suit him. That has to be intentional. Right, right. With such reasonable rates of interest, I may even decide to come back. It's why I hate grown-ups. Just because I'm a diver, everyone thinks that makes me a liar. And the contents of the coat's pockets, if you please, broker. But of course, sir. Here is the disc for you. Just this one? Pardon, sir? I was expecting another. That is, I deposited another. Another disc? Oh dear. I regret to inform you, sir, that what was deposited with me was merely the overcoat. The disc happened to be in one of the pockets, but I was completely unaware of it until now. It's so guttling. You are hiding more of what is rightfully mine, are you? It doesn't seem like it's rightfully his. Says who, eh? I don't know nothing about it. Yeah, the discs are definitely the important part here, right? Very well. Then I shall bid you farewell. Say goodbye to style. Wait a minute. That disc is mine. What do you think you're doing, you little tramp? You've drawn blood, you filthy animal! Oh my, yes, there's blood on the disc. It's because of all those sharp little bumps. The man must have scratched his finger on them. But he's wearing gloves! What? I found it first, alright? I mean, it belonged to me old man. So you're not having it. Or you take it. Me? If I hang on to it, they'll have it off me again, so you keep hold of it. Miss Lestrade, why is this disc so important to her? The music box disc has been entered into the court record. Music box disc. A metal disc used to play music in a mechanical music box. The piece of music, which remains unidentified, is stored on the disc by means of small protrusions. You there, in the black livery. Hand that disc to me at once, please. No, don't! He's lying! Grown-ups are all liars! What do I do now? How am I going to resolve this? We can use the camera. We can use the cameras, the security cameras. We can find out who deposited the overcoat. I mean, it depends on how long the dude keeps the film, but what if it isn't a song but a voice recording? It could be. I was kind of thinking that. I'm gonna take a quick break to go and replenish my water, and I will be... And I'm back. You know what I realised I want to do first? I want to look at this disc. Aha! There's something interesting on the back there, but let's look at the, Look at all the little bumps on this disc. They're so tiny. Yes, the protrusions are called pins, and they pluck the teeth of the comb to make notes. And just on the edge there's a small amount of blood. Yes, the blood of the mysterious Mr. Eggert Benedict. When Miss Lestrade tried to grab the disc from him, the pins scratched his fingers, it seems. I could have sworn he was wearing gloves. Like when you're greasing some daikon radish and accidentally catch your finger. Ouch, just thinking about it hurts. And puts me off eating radish. For McGilded! It's Mr. McGilded's coat! It's Mr. McGilded's coat! Which means that Miss Lestrade probably was the right person to pick it up. Because she and Mr. McGilded were getting along pretty well. Oh, there's a little scrap of paper stuck to the reverse side of the disc, look. And a scribbled word or two. It looks like somebody's name. For McGilded? McGilded? It couldn't be. But it is Mr. Naruhodo. Name I shall never forget for as long as I live. But why? Why is his name on this? The music box disc's information has been updated in the car record. On the reverse side is a note that reads, For McGilded. Yeah, having seen this, I am way more inclined to believe. Well, I mean, I was already believing Gina more, but the fact that this was clearly Mr. McGilded's. Although if it's Mr. McGilded's overcoat, how is that gentleman managing to wear it? Mr. McGilded was quite short, right? And rich. You'd expect he'd have things tailored to his size. Wow, Miss Lestrade is really looking daggers at that mysterious gentleman. I need to do something to calm things down before she loses control and attacks him again. Mr. Winterbank is clearly at a loss here. We have to do something about this before he reaches for that revolver of his. Sir, how did you manage to get blood on that disc while you're wearing gloves? In fact, there's barely a scrap of flesh to be seen on yours. Look at those piercing eyes. He's clearly in no mood to talk. We have to do something quickly before this mysterious gentleman leaves to fetch the police or something. I'm not wrong about the dude, and even I would want to attack him. Ah, okay, we have the option of going and putting it in the music box. I think. Look at Mr. Winterbank watching diligently over his shop. There's still so many things I'm curious about. But somehow I don't really feel like this is the right time to be browsing. Calming this fraught situation must be our first priority. And I'm fairly certain that we can find the great thing we need among the articles here in this shop. Oh, okay, so we not that? Is it this thing? No. Oh. Mr. Sholmes? Mr. Sholmes? What are you examining with such keen interest there? You enjoy a bar of caramel, I see. He's looking dejected again. So, you've found me at last, Mr. Naruhodo. Sorry? After that young pickpocket sent me on my way, I was forced to lurk in the shadows. Cruelly ostracized as the rest of you partook in the jovial atmosphere of fellowship. I had nothing to occupy my mind, but was too ashamed to let society see what my downfall had done to me. So feigning mock interest, I pretended to examine the tedious trinkets in this desolate place. Whilst, as you surely observed, gnawing on the only friend I have left, this 7% solution of caramel. Pray, do you claim to understand the depths of my despair, Mr. Naruhodo? But how could you? I was so lonely, so desperately lonely. Then why on earth didn't you rejoin the conversation? Things have gone from bad to worse here, you know. Yes, I overheard much of your conversation. Or rather, in my craving for human contact, my ears devoured every word that was uttered. You really were sad, weren't you? Oh, Mr. Sholmes, I feel simply awful for you. It would seem that my inferences are correct. Oh, surely you're not about to tell us that you've solved the entire case once again? My dear madame, sometimes I wonder, were my genius for deduction to be commoditized, how much could I pawn it for? It seems Mr. Sholmes has had another of his flashes of inspiration. Alright, is it time for the dance of deduction again? But who knows if it will help to resolve the situation between Miss Lestrade and the mysterious gentleman. What's the right thing to do here? Let's listen to Sholmes' deduction. Go for it, Sholmes. Once again, when has he ever solved the case? Well, Miss Lestrade, it would appear you find yourself in something of a predicament. Where the blue blazes have you been, eh? Pardon? When a lady's in trouble, a true gent's supposed to be there to help. Straight away, not an hour later. Hush. And who, pray tell, are you? Mr. Eggert Benedict. You have, in my eyes, a veritably encyclopedic array of curiosities about your person. Nevertheless, there are two immovable conclusions that I have drawn. I beg your pardon? The first is this. The true reason for your visit to this pawnbrokery today is something you have not yet revealed. And the second is this. A considerable crime is in contemplation. One you will orchestrate with intent to steal a vast sum of money. Well, Mr. Benedict, what say you to my deductions? Hey wait. Is Mr. Benedict James Moriarty? Just putting that out there. How? He's turned as white as a hard-boiled egg. It would seem that once again, Mr. Sholmes has made a flawless deduction. Just who do you think you are, sir? Ah, yes, as I hoped. That is precisely the pained expression I was looking for. Yeah, wouldn't it? Moriarty's a fancy gentleman, right? Fancy gentleman who's a thief. Or something, right? I don't read much Holmes, but even the watchword professor. Oh yeah, yes, professor. So shall we begin? The time has come for yet another Sherlock Holmes's logic and reasoning spectacular, which we will then have to fix later. Topic 1. Mystery Man's aim. First of all, we must ask ourselves on what business you ventured into this pawnbrokery today. You claim to avoid this pickpocket here, having had the redemption ticket stolen from you on the street. But that is most certainly a lie. The real truth is something quite different. As revealed by that which you hold in your hand. Yes, what brought you to this shop in the first place is the staff recruitment flyer. No, I think it's more to do with the cane, but we'll fix that later. The piece of paper in your hand is a staff wanted advertisement for from this very shop. Yet even the most unobservant would soon realise that a man of your appearance has no need of such employ. In other words, there is some ulterior motive for your actions. Okay, so the cane has the initials AG. The cane, which you unwittingly clutch to your person, exhibits an incontrovertible contradiction. What utter rot! I've had this cane for years. The contradiction of which I speak is, of course, the missing ferrule. No, it's the initials, but the end of any walking cane would be terminated with a metal ferrule to protect the wooden tip. And yet detailed analysis shows the wooden tip of this stick to be utterly bare. Therefore, there is only one conclusion. The rod that you hold in your hand, which appears to be a walking cane, is in fact a thumping people cane? Is in fact no cane at all. It's a sword stick! It's a sword stick! It's a sword stick! Sword stick! Sword stick! Sword stick! Sword stick! Right? Gunstick? Gunsticks also exist. But sword stick! Sword stick! You recoil, sir. Is something wrong? And in your recoiling, you inadvertently facilitate the answer of the next conundrum to present itself. Namely, what is the truth behind this rod you bear? Yes, your reaction betrays the truth. The handle, which you evidently would like to conceal, is the key to understanding this riddle, you see. Pretty sure I've seen a gun cane before. Just a second. Let me. I'm gonna actually look now. While I do this. From the moment I saw it, my suspicions were aroused. What walking cane demands such a stout handle? Mused I. But of course, as I said, this is no walking cane. No, that rod... is the broken handle of a shovel. Maybe. Here we are. This is what I'm looking for. Do you know the French had a sport with cane fighting? I did not know that. Yeah, let's just there you go. If that link works. That is a flintlock walking stick gun with sundial. What? Are you insane? And now, having determined this undeniable truth, the conclusion is clear. Your true motive for coming here was to take employment at this establishment in order to excavate the ground beneath the premises. What a calculated crime you have conceived, sir. A wickedly calculated crime. Conclusion: to tunnel underneath the pawnbrokery. Topic 2. Great crime. Now, Mr. Benedict, let us continue. For we must expose the details of this elaborate crime you have in the planning. This is utterly absurd. You suggest that I, a gentleman, intend to excavate the ground beneath this pawnbrokery with a broken shovel? What on earth do you propose I would expect to find there? Some long-forgotten treasure, I suppose? Save for such a fanciful theory, what possible reason could I have to do as you say? Yeah, you can... Oh, but there is ample reason. As you are only too well aware, Mr. Benedict. To have the sundial, you don't want to be late for shooting someone to bed. Yeah, but the sundial only works properly if you have a compass as well. Yeah. The Royal Armoury's website is a great thing for looking at all kinds of normal and also weird weaponry. I've spent quite a bit of time in the armories themselves looking at the weapons. It's quite a fun place to visit. And your furtive glance is more telling than I could have hoped. What? Let us consider what would motivate a man to infiltrate a shop such as this and covertly dig beneath its floor. The answer is revealed by the council notice on the counter to which your eyes were inadvertently drawn. This letter gives notice of public works to be carried out in the local area. And according to the enclosed plan of the upcoming sewerage works, beneath this shop runs a sewer that joins another, one that runs under the bank on the opposite side of the road. This madness has entered the sewers now, has it? By excavating the ground beneath our feet, you would gain access to the waterway. It flows in very close proximity to the great vaults of the financial institution opposite. What are you? In summary, sir, you devise a master plan to pull off an elaborate bank robbery by dint of the underground tunnels. Master plan? Which brings us at last to the final chapter of this lurid scheme. With what plunder did the thief hope to make off from the underground vault of the bank? Are you quite serious? Having consulted with Scotland Yard some days ago, I happen to know the answer. I feel like this is something you shouldn't be spouting off in public, Sholmes. I have tried to avoid the JoJo comparisons that are really, really obvious. he is doing a lot of JoJo posing, that man. But naturally, the answer is no secret to you, is it, Mr. Benedict? I have no idea what you're talking about. Allow me to present a rather interesting piece of evidence. You see, this picture postcard tells us all we need to know. That's of the Crystal Tower. No, there is a postcard of the Great Exhibition. I'm afraid you've quite lost me. Currently in the final stages of preparation, the Great Exhibition will soon be underway. And the government has provided extra funds to complete its centerpiece, the Crystal Tower. Funds that currently sit in the vault of the bank on the other side of this road. Pardon? Yes, the considerable crime you have been contemplating is the theft of that which sits in the vault of that bank, the special reserve funds for the Great Exhibition. Of course, that is top secret police information, so keep it under your hat, please. If it's top secret information, you shouldn't have been spouting it off in public. Thus concludes Sherlock Holmes' great deduction of this pawnbroking puzzle. And now we need to fix it. Mr. Sholmes? Well, Mr. Naruhodo? An impressively upbeat deduction for a detective racked with loneliness, would you not agree? Was it true what you said about the bank over the road and what it has in its vault? Indeed, though few know of its existence. It is one of the government's most closely guarded secrets. Gregson told me in the strictest confidence, and you spouted it out in public in the middle of this pawn shop with 4 other people. But you just announced it to everyone here, rather loudly in fact. Ah. And if it's such a big secret, how would Mr. Benedict have come to find out about it? There can be one explanation for that. Clearly it is because the man is a criminal. I mean, just because he's a criminal doesn't mean he knows these things. But what if he didn't know anything about the money in the vault? If he's a criminal, as you said, then buying a brand new shovel is sure to be the first thing he does now you've revealed the secret. Oh. Or if he doesn't, maybe Mr. Winterbank will. He already has plenty of shovels here, after all. Oh my life! I assure you I am not so unscrupulous. Well, hopefully this has taught you a valuable lesson. Don't give sensitive information to Mr. Sholmes. Sensitive information must be handled with the utmost of care. As in, not given to Mr. Sholmes. Understood. One can never be sure that someone privy to secrets won't disclose them, and once the word is out, it's out. Perhaps I'll think twice before confiding in you next time, Mr. Sholmes. An excellent idea, Mr. Naruhodo, an excellent idea! Well then, Mr. Naruhodo, you know what to do, I'm sure. Yes, let's listen to the great deduction again and see if we can massage it into shape. Very well then, let us start once more from the beginning. Yeah, also Gina doesn't have the resources probably to go stealing from banks. Of Sherlock Holmes' magnificent logic and reasoning, spectacular. Course correction. Hold it, Mr. Sholmes. Topic 1. Mystery Man's Aim. First of all, we must ask ourselves on what business you ventured into this pawnbrokery today. You claim to have followed this pickpocket here, having had the redemption ticket stolen from you on the street. But that is most certainly a lie. The real truth is something quite different. As revealed by that which you hold in your hand, yes, what brought you to this shop in the first place is the staff recruitment flyer. No. So by Mr. Sholmes' reasoning, Mr. Benedict came here in order to apply for a job so he could dig down through the floor. Yes, in an attempt to tunnel into the sewers to gain access to the money in the vault of the bank across the road. But he wouldn't get very far with a broken shovel, would he? No, I think it's fair to say his motives lie elsewhere. The question is where? What did bring Mr. Benedict here at this particular point in time? Is yep. The cane? It's the stylish hat. No. The cane. That's a proper English gentleman's cane, isn't it? Look at the beautifully polished brass on the handle. Yes, but Mr. Sholmes is right. It's not the sort of handle you usually see on a cane. Perhaps it's the latest London fashion. I mean, that's just guesswork, of course. Perhaps you should adopt a cane, Mr. Naruhodo. It might rather suit you. I have a feeling it might argue with the sword around my waist. Actually, let's look at the hats as well. Let's have a look at the hat as well. That silk top hat is whiter than white. Only an English gentleman could hope to carry off something so bright. But it looks so incongruous with the black overcoat, don't you think? Perhaps it's the latest London fashion. I mean, that's just guesswork, of course. How about it, Mr. Naruhodo? I think you'd look very fetching in a white top hat. Well, you know, I think it might look rather incongruous with my black university uniform, so... Anyway, let's present the cane.
Take that!
You can't judge a book by its cover, as they say. Someone who appears wealthy may well be poor. Being such a man, you're desperate for money. When you realised you had no real need for your cane, you brought it here today with the intention of pawning it for as much as the broker would give you. What precisely was your intention with that, Mr. Naruhodo? Just following the natural progression of the deduction. Sometimes the truth hurts. Well, the truth is, you don't have a term for observation or deduction. Did that hurt? Yes, a lot. Okay, so it's not the cane. I still don't quite understand why this gentleman came to Mr. Winterbanks today. He might look like a smartly dressed man about town, but perhaps he's destitute, really. I think that's the only explanation. We must stop thinking along those lines, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, I suppose you're right. Well, in that case, perhaps there's something in this pawn shop that the man was looking for. Let's look closely and see if there's anything about this person that gives us a clue. Okay. Wait, what's on the back of the... Ah! I was going to say, what's on the back of the flyer? There we go. Scribbled writing. I was right, there's something on the back. Oh! Look at all the scribbled notes on the back of this flyer here. I don't believe it! What is it? Listen to what it says. Name, Gina Lestrade. Height, 5'2". Green cap, scruffy waistcoat, grubby white shirt, blue satchel, brackets, ragged. It's a detailed description of Miss Lestrade. Goodness! There's even a sketch of her, hat and all. Although if you showed it to her, she'd fire that smoke grenade launcher in his face for sure. It is a very cute sketch of Gina, isn't it? And look, the details of the shop has been written down here too. Winterbanks Pawnbrokery, Baker Street. Redemption deadline 15th of April. Which is today's date. Why would Mr. Benedict have all that information scrawled on the back of that piece of paper? Info about Miss Lestrade. Okay, it's definitely that.
Take that!
There we go. Yes, what brought you to this shop in the first place is the info about Miss Lestrade. Quite so, my dear fellow. It would appear that the writing and sketch on the reverse of the flyer pertain to the pickpocket Miss Lestrade and to Mr. Winterbanks' pawnbrokery here. Ah. You originally told us that you had merely given chase after Miss Lestrade stole the redemption ticket from you. But that, sir, is a thinly veiled lie. It is the information on the back of the flyer that led you here today. By which I mean here to Winterbank's pawnbrokery, and today the redemption deadline of that overcoat. Actually, wasn't it like we've been in London 2 months, so yeah. Mr. McGilded could have pawned that overcoat before his trial. So you waited outside for the young girl matching the description you have written down to arrive. And you had gone to some lengths to hide the reason for your pursuit of Miss Lestrade. In other words, there is some ulterior motive for your actions. The cane, which you unwittingly clutched to your person, exhibits an incontrovertible contradiction. What utter rot! I've had this cane for years. The contradiction of which I speak is, of course, the missing ferrule. What's the ferrule? It's the metal cap commonly found on the end of a cane, Mr. Naruhodo. Ah, the bit that makes a nice clacking sound on the pavement. Yes, exactly. And Mr. Shams is right, it appears to be missing on this cane. But it doesn't actually look broken, does it? No, it doesn't. Though the gentleman certainly did recoil when Mr. Shams identified the cane as suspicious. In other words, there's some secret about the cane that Mr. Benedict would rather we don't know. Spinny, spinny, spin, spin, spin. Initialing. Yeah, initialing is the only thing I have access to, unless there's something on the... Wait. So I can look at the stylish hats! Again, I don't need to look at the stylish hats again. Initialing. Look here, Miss Susato. There are some letters on the handle. Oh yes, these must be initials, I think. In the West, it's customary for people to engrave their belongings with the first letters of their names. So Herlock Sholmes would be HS, you mean? That's right. And the initials on this cane, obviously... Oh. AG? Why does it feel as though that's not quite right?
Take that!
The contradiction of which I speak is, of course, the initialing. A most astute observation, wouldn't you say, Mr. Eggert Benedict? We are led to believe, sir, that your initials are EB. Yet in a most possessive manner, you have in your grasp a cane bearing the initials AG. An incontrovertible contradiction indeed, would you not agree? No, you're wrong. This cane isn't... You said before that you'd had that cane for years. So don't try to tell us that you just borrowed it from a friend or found it in the park. In short, though you hold yourself to be a gentleman, you have withheld your true name. You recoil, sir. Is something wrong? And in your recoiling, you inadvertently facilitate the answer to the next conundrum to present itself. Namely, what is the truth behind this rod you bear? Yes, your reaction betrays the truth. The handle, which you evidently would like to conceal, is the key to understanding this riddle, you see. Let's consider the bare bones of what's happened here. Miss Lestrade redeemed that fine-looking overcoat, and now a mysterious man has appeared, introducing himself with a fake name, and claiming the overcoat belongs to him. But we know that he actually identified Miss Lestrade from a written description. which suggests that everything else he's told us is untrue. So what we need to do here is somehow prove the overcoat cannot possibly belong to him. Hello? Hello? Oh, the seam on the shoulder there is coming apart, look. So it is. Do you know, moments ago when Mr. Benedict was surprised by something that was said, I thought I heard him make a rather strange noise. It sounded a bit like a tiny growl. But now I think it was probably the sound of the seam ripping open, indicating that this coat is too small for him. If you look closely, it does seem to be a very tight fit. You know, it would make sense that the coat fits Miss Lestrade reasonably if it belonged to Mr. McGilded, because she was pretty short. He was kind of short. They were much of a height, weren't they? Mr. McGilded and Miss Lestrade. The sleeves are stretched to bursting and he wouldn't have a hope of fastening it at the front. If he were to run around in it, I'm sure the whole thing would fall apart. That I'd like to see. Sorry? So how can we make Mr. Benedict turn around? She's really giving this some thought. Okay, I am going to present the split scene.
Take that!
And yes, welcome back, Kevin. I guess you're awake now. The split seam, which you evidently would like to conceal, is the key to understanding this riddle, you see. Ah. Yes, because the overcoat is rather obviously a poor fit. Having forced it over your broad shoulders, the seam is already breaking apart. My suspicions were aroused from the outset. When you so boldly lied about your name and so boldly waylaid this pickpocket. Ah. This catalogue of untruths has all been for one very specific purpose. To steal the article that the young girl redeemed from Mr. Winterbank. But what really irks me is this. The considerable crime I initially imagined has been considerably curtailed. To abscond with a redeemed item. Solved. Now, Mr. Benedict, let us continue. For we must expose the details of this elaborate crime you have in the planning. This is utterly absurd. You suggest that I, a gentleman, designed a wheeze to filch some tawdry article of pawnage? Have you forgotten that I redeemed the article in the proper manner, using the watchword? Had I not been the one to deposit it in the first place, how could I possibly have known the relevant details? Ne sais pas. Oh, but the watchword can be discovered. As you are only too well aware, Mr. Benedict. Ah, and your furtive glance is more telling than I could have hoped. What? Let us consider how one might come to learn a secret watchword relating to the pawned property of another. The method is revealed by the counsel note on the counter to which your eyes are inadvertently drawn. Actually, I'm pretty sure it's the book that's got all the information in it. Because it's probably on the right page for that article after Gina redeemed it. The direction of this seduction must change rather dramatically now, I think. Yes, no more talk of tunnelling into the sewers. Which is a pity, because it all sounded rather exciting. Anyway, you can't deny this mysterious gentleman did know the watchword. Yes, Professor. If you didn't know that word, Mr. Winterbank would never allow you to redeem the article. Or, looking at it another way, If you did know that word, Mr. Winterbank would allow you to redeem the article whether it was yours or not. So the question is, could this gentleman have found the watchword out somehow? No, I can't. Yeah. I can't. Okay. Oh, maybe the note. Look at this, Miss Susato. Ah, it appears to be a memo that Mr. Winterbank has scribbled to himself. Let's see, what does it say? Oh, Professor! Mr. Winterbank must make a note of the watchwords his customers give him right before their eyes. And in an alarmingly clear script as well. Oh dear, I don't know where to look. Who knows what other secrets I might see?
Take that!
The method is revealed by the notelet on the counter to which your eyes were inadvertently drawn. Yes, the broker here follows the same procedure whenever a customer comes to redeem an article. He asks the customer for the watchword and notes down the response uttered on a notelet he has to hand. Then he consults his ledger and confirms whether or not the watchword matches that of the article in question. I would expect nothing less of a diligent pawnbroker. But his diligence clearly has its disadvantages. Also, what is going on in that window though? It's a rather interesting design. I guess maybe it's supposed to be words, but... what are you talking about? It is increasingly apparent that you were present in this shop before your accusation against Miss Lestrade. In all likelihood, you followed her inside and then observed her talking to Mr. Winterbank. When the diligent broker made a note of the watchword, as is his common practice, you observed him writing the word Professor on the notelet beside the ledger. And that, sir, was the master plan you devised to steal the pawned article from young Miss Lestrade. Nick, he's not Speedwagon. Speedwagon is a nice person. Whereas this is clearly a villain. Which brings us at last to the final chapter of this lurid scheme. Why would you go to such lengths to redeem that particular article from this pawnbroker? Are you quite serious? For an ill-fitting overcoat hardly seems to justify the effort, much less a worthless music box disc. That's because it's not worthless. But naturally, you had a very good reason to make them yours, didn't you, Mr. Benedict? I have no idea what you're talking about. Allow me to present a rather interesting piece of evidence. You see, this picture postcard tells us all we need to know. It's not the picture postcard. The articles we're talking about are the overcoat and the music box disc that was in one of the pockets. Which, according to Mr. Winterbank, isn't even worth a penny. And yet this man went to such lengths to steal them. Why? I wonder if perhaps we already have the evidence we need to explain it, Mr. Naruhodo. Could we? Really? I'd better have a thorough look through the evidence we've collected so far. Meow. 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 Let's look at this again. Paul McGilded. The surname of the man whose innocence you secured in the trial 2 months ago, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, a trial I'll never forget. Not least because of the tragic accident that followed it in which Mr. McGilded was killed. But why would his name be on the music box disc? I'm afraid I have absolutely no idea. But one thing seems certain. This surely cannot be a simple coincidence. Oh wait, I should just present it. You see, this music box disc tells us all we need to know. What's that on the back? It reads, "For McGilbert." Ah, Mr. Magnus McGilbert, the unfortunate philanthropist who perished in curious circumstances at the Old Bailey 2 months ago. A prominent man in London, though his lone mongering demonstrated a distinct lack of scruples. So, you're an associate of his, are you? Or perhaps a subordinate? Or perhaps a rival? Mr. McGilbert was a man of unusually small stature. In fact, he was precisely the right size for that overcoat that you've squeezed yourself into. Yeah. Your true identity remains shrouded in mystery, Mr. Eggert Benedict. But the final conclusion here is crystal clear. The reason you came to this pawnbrokery today was to retrieve an article left behind by the late Magnus McGilbert. Ah! To acquire an item deposited by Mr. McGilbert. And if it's an item deposited by Mr. McGilbert, as I said, it seems a lot more reasonable that Miss Lestrade was supposed to pick it up. Well, well, Mr. Magnus McGilbert. Not a name I expected to hear in these circumstances. Mr. Sholmes, I'm afraid there's something very troubling on my mind. Pray tell, Mr. Zato. Well, according to what Mr. Winterbank told us earlier, today was the final day on which the coat could have been redeemed, was it not? Yes, ma'am, that is correct. Today would be precisely 2 months since it was first deposited. Well, today's 15th of April, so 2 months ago today... Would have been 15th of February, sir, that's right. It's all carefully recorded in my ledger. I don't remember what date McGilbert's trial was. Deposited at 10:30 p.m, I see. What? But that suggests... Yes, 15th of February is precisely the day on which the omnibus murder took place. And 10:30 in the evening is precisely the time at which the terrible events were unfolding. Suggestive is not the word. It would seem the matter is entirely beyond coincidence. Wait, does this evidence actually confirm that Mr. McGilbert didn't do the deed? You are, of course, at liberty to make whatever outlandish deductions you choose. However, I must insist you hand over the music box disc now. Did he just steal the... Yes, it looks like he's stolen the revolver that was on the table. The revolver that we know only has 1 bullet in it. Yeah, like, I was almost so certain that McGilbert actually did it when we were doing that, but this evidence, though... It would be a terrible shame for you to return to your native land in a box. I mean, I left it in a box, but, you know... What do I do? Hand over the disc or absolutely not? There's 3 of us and 1 bullet. Just a second. Save. Save. Absolutely not! There are some things a man must protect at all costs. This may well be one of those things. Then again, it may not.
Hold it!
Oh, okay. It's not Mr. Winterbank's revolver. It's not Mr. Winterbank's revolver. Mr. Winterbank has his own revolver. Mr. Winterbank. This is my shop. I can't allow any harm to come to my customers. If that would happen, I would have to take my own life. Mr. Winterbank, no. Oh, right, that's enough. Okay. I almost did it in his voice as well. Oh, right, that's enough. Inspector Gregson. Inspector? That's right, Sunshine! The alarm was raised on one of our dedicated emergency lines. So we got here as fast as we could. Now what's what's all this about, eh? Oh, praise be, you're here at last! Mr. Winterbank has one of those convenient buttons under the counter that summons the police, huh? Silent alarm. I was moments away from forfeiting my own life and my own establishment. It would seem you have the upper hand. Right, you lot have got some explaining to do. I don't appreciate being bothered with some petty argy-bargy. See? Mr. Winterbank very nearly met with his end. Yeah, by his own gun, as far as I can tell. Oh dear. And the whole of Britain could meet with its end if I don't get to the bottom of this the case I'm supposed to be working on. What? What on earth is the case, Inspector? Spare no detail, Gregson. I might have said a little too much. No matter, it's nothing to do with you lot. Anyway, sir, you're gonna have to come with me down to the station. But of course, Inspector. Ah! He's getting away! Get after him, lads! Whistle the beat officer too! Sir! Oh, he's definitely a criminal. There's been a spate of thefts at pawn shops. There's been a spate of thefts at pawn shops around here recently. So we fitted emergency buttons under the counters for brokers to let us know when there's trouble. Oh, Inspector, I was very worried there for a while. Very worried indeed. Now then, Mr. Permanently in mourning. Oh, yes? I'll be taking that whatever it is of McGilded's down to the yard, thank you very much. So hand it over. I don't think Mr. Rowley is the beat officer for this particular area, right? I think... I don't think this fits under Rowley's beat. It's probably someone else's. I hope it's someone else's. Oh, yes, of course. No, don't give it to him. It's mine, that is mine. I'm sorry, miss. But anything belonging to McGilded has to be taken in as evidence now. As evidence? If the police demand something as evidence, my dear fellow, we have no choice but to capitulate. It's all yours, Inspector. So what's to bet that Mr. McGilded did not in fact die in the flaming omnibus and someone else died instead? And Mr. McGilded is up to something in the shadows. And so we handed Mr. McGilded's disc over to Inspector Gregson, and were summarily turfed out of the shop and onto the street. To be continued. And it's a very convenient almost 3 hours for the stream. Which means I'm going to take this opportunity to finish. So, thank you very much for coming. It's been fun. And there's some serious mystery afoot, which I'm looking forward to getting back to. If you're new today and you've enjoyed your time, consider subscribing to the channel. Follow me on Twitter, which is where I post the stream schedule for the week in a pinned tweet, although this is the last stream of the week, so there will be a new schedule going up sometime tomorrow, because some of my streams are a little undecided and depend a bit on an item I'm receiving tomorrow. So the schedule will be up tomorrow, but I can tell you that the next scheduled stream will be tomorrow 7 PM, and that will be more Pokemon Shining Pearl, where I will be taking on the 8th gym and then heading in the direction of the League, the Elite Four. So hope to see you then, or another time. And once again, thanks for coming, and this is Kalla signing out. See ya, bye bye.